This is a review of my experience at the July 4 through 7, 2024 Dallas Card Show. Awesome show. I had to miss Saturday because I had to do grading. I couldn't afford to go to the show and expect myself to get the grading done in time. So I stayed home and spent the day grading and got as caught up as I could. And I did really well. And so I submitted on time. Everything was good. So I didn't buy a lot at the show because I missed the biggest day, but that's okay. I mean, sometimes I have to do that. I've done this before. Like I'll have conflicting schedules, and so I have to kind of pick and choose, but I do the best I can. We're going to be talking about this run in order of release. So there's going to be some like, oh my gosh, so cool. And like, can you move on, please? I'm not interested. Thanks anyway. Kind of stuff. Kind of like, there's going to be a lot of like this and the, oh my gosh, peaks and valleys kind of stuff. But it's all cool, at least to me anyway. But I get excited about some pretty like basic stuff. I could talk about like 88 Donruss and be completely happy. So let's introduce the list here with a 1980 Topps Rickey Henderson rookie card. Amazing, love this. This is a BGS altered authentic example. Yeah. So the guy I bought this from, I've bought from him many times. I always go to him and buy every Dallas Card Show. Super cool guy. And he had this, and I found it after I'd kind of cashed out. I was like, oh my gosh, so what's the, what do you want for this? And I was like, what's the deal with the altered? He says it was colored. Neither of us could figure out where it was colored, though. It looks like a normal 80 Topps Henderson rookie. He's like, what do you want for it? So he's like, I'll tell you what, just give me $20. I'm like, done. $20 is yours, my friend. Same time. Glad to get this. This is awesome. Love this. So cool. I get these when I can find them for cheap. They've come up a bit. I remember. I think it was 8, maybe 7, and I was having a conversation with my brother upstairs near the bathroom outside in the hallway. It was nighttime at 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, maybe. I don't know. It was night. It was dark outside. And it was like we were all kind of closing in the day and getting ready for bed. And my brother was talking about this card because he collected cards for like a little while when I was younger. Yeah, he and I would trade cards for like a year, and then he got out of cards. But he was talking about this card. I remember vividly being a little boy, a little kid, talking about this card with my brother. And remembering it was like $80 in the book. I'm like, I'm never going to own this card. It's too expensive. I was getting like $2 a week in allowance, which I loved. $2, awesome. And it was many years would pass before I got my first 80 Topps Rickey Henderson. I have a bunch of these now, but they're expensive. They've come up a lot over the years, and so I don't see them too frequently in the wild. They're coveted. The Rickey Henderson rookie is a classic. It's one of the greatest cards of the 1980s block. It introduces that decade very well. So yeah, when I was younger, this was like one of those cards. I'm like, that and the 86 Donruss Canseco, the 89 Upper Deck Griffey, the 90 Leaf Thomas. These are cards I'm like, I'm never going to own these. They're too expensive, too valuable, too high end. But, as I got older and I got educated and got jobs and income and stuff, I cherry picked all these cards. Now I have a bunch of each of them. I think of those that I just mentioned, though, the 89 Upper Deck Griffey have the fewest. I think I like 4 or 5 of them, whereas like Rickey Henderson, like probably 10 plus. Thomas, well over 60. I've been doing this a while, though. It's like this is just over the course of time. I've amassed various examples of these cards, and I get them when I can find them for the right price. And it's sometimes harder to do. These are somewhat volatile cards. Like the Griffey has done this and then this and then this again, and so they're consistent though. Like they're very coveted. They're very popular cards, and this 80 Topps Rickey Henderson's it's in that bracket of it will always be popular forever. And so when I saw this, I was like, well, I can see if I can get that for a price that makes sense. And the dealer gave me a great deal on this card. I couldn't pass it up. So not museum quality, but excellent graded archive edition. So there you have it. This is the Ricky Henderson Topps rookie card. Well, I could just say this is the Ricky Henderson rookie card because he only has one. This is it, the Topps card. And like infinite parallels and 3,000 different rookie cards. And this is the Ricky Henderson rookie card. That's the only one. He has some cool minor league stuff pre 1980, TCMA and stuff like that. But this is the rookie card. Love this. BGS Authentic Altered. Okay, this is the, I love this. This is so cool. 1988 score sample, Barry Larkin. So what distinguishes this from the base card is the border is green instead of maroon. And the stats for 1987 are all zeroed out. And the reason being is that these samples were produced before the 1987 season was done. So the stats hadn't amassed to completion just yet. And this was essentially made to be shopped around to dealers to promote the set, to start, selling score. First year score was 1988. This is a Pinnacle release, by the way. Pinnacle created score in 1988, and then Pinnacle created its own umbrella in 92, the Pinnacle set. But this is the start of Pinnacle. Okay, so I paid 15 cents for this card. And, I've seen this card a few times at auction, 2 or 3 times, and I think the last month there have been 2 of these, and the first sale was like sub 50, and the second sale was like sub 160. So they range, like, depending on the market, like, popularity. Who's looking at what at the time. So between 50 and 150 is kind of where this is valued, this card. I got it for 15 cents, which is, well, it's a good deal in my opinion. I think probably some of you out there think it's the same. But one gentleman on eBay has one listed for $4,500. May as well be $1 billion. But yeah, this card and the 2 examples online that sold of similar condition. I think the most recent one was in better condition than this one. Sold through a pretty reputable consigner on eBay. Really great stuff. I think that recent one was better condition than one I have here. Bottom right corner on this one is not amazing, but I'll take it for 15 cents all day long, forever. It's funny, when I was going through this, I had pretty relatively recently been watching the $4,500 example just for fun. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh my gosh, so cool. So I bought this and the maroon pack issued base card together. I already had it, but I'm like, why not? These are cool. So this samples set from 88 score features some pretty big names, like Wade Boggs, Don Mattingly, Mark McGuire, Tim Raines, and some other, Mark Langston and some others. It's a smaller run of cards, but the card numbers are the same as the base, like, pack issued cards. I've not seen any of the other samples. Barry Larkin's the only one I've seen, but they exist. They're around. So really cool stuff. I was glad to get this for 15 cents. I thought that was a good deal. I didn't have to second guess it or anything. I think I can spend 15 cents. So I was glad to get the Barry Larkin. So happy to have this. This is just such a rad piece to have in my collection. So I have my cards split up in these orderly arrangements that I have a box for score. It goes from 88 to 91. It's all organized by year and by card number. And so this being a sample, I don't think I'll put it in that 88 score run. I think I'm just going to put it in the Barry Larkin section in my A box because it's obscure. And it just doesn't really... I guess it does fit an 88 score because it is 88 score, but it's going to seem really out of place in that set run because if you know anything about 88 score, well, 88 score and 90 score, those colors of these cards, the set is run like that. There's a block of the greens, a block of the maroons, a block of the blues, a block of the yellows, a block of the orange. It's just they're set up in blocks. So like a 90 score, it's block of the reds, block of the blues, block of the greens, block of the whites. This card's going to sit really out of place in the block of the maroons. And so I'm just going to put it in my Barry Larkin section. I do that with some cards, like anything blank back or wrong front. It's so confusing to have it anywhere else. So I just put it in the player section stuff and keep it out of the way so it doesn't create confusion when I'm going through the junk wax era stuff that I have. And so I think it's fine being assigned to the player section in the A box, but that aside, this is just an excellent ad. I was really glad to get this. This is the Barry Larkin 1988 score sample. All right, this next one's another 15-cent edition. This is Garrett Anderson. I'm a Garrett Anderson fan. I have him in my B boxes. I buy his stuff occasionally, depending on the price. I'm very picky about price, so just because you know I collect it doesn't mean you can try to like hamstring me with price. Oh, this is really cool. It's $4,500. I'm like, you can keep it. So got this one for 15 cents. I looked through the gentleman's boxes for hours because I had missed Saturday. So when I came back on Sunday, I made it a point to go to this guy's booth and just sit for hours pulling out as much as I could. I made a list of guys I needed to see that day, and this gentleman I wanted to sit and go through, and pulled out like 450 cards, and this was one of them, as well as the Barry Larkin, and did really well with that. So I was happy to get these into my collection. Really pleased with the Garrett Anderson. I didn't buy any packs of this. I've never opened a pack of 96 Select Certified and 96. It was one of those sets that was out of reach, too expensive. I didn't really know about it until later because I was buying like cheap stuff. There were a number of years there that I went back and forth from comic books to baseball cards, because I started collecting comic books when I was 5. And then between 5 and like 15 or 16, I went back and forth from comic books to cards. But there's like months at a time. It was like for years. I did that for years. In fact, before I moved to LA in 2009, I was buying comic books for a little bit with a girlfriend of mine at the time. And when I went to LA, I was like, I just pick one. So it's just cards, stayed cards. I buy comics at conventions. I chip away at my Amazing Spider-Man vintage stuff when it makes sense. But I've told myself, just stick to cards. Like, you can't do two things. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough money. The resource allocation is at a premium. There's just not enough of either of these things. So I need to just stick to cards, and I really just stick to baseball. Like, I don't really go through any other sport. I probably should, but I just don't have unlimited time and money to do that. So I try to do what I can with baseball. And 15 cents. Love that. All right, next on the list here, this is the Todd Helton 1998 Donruss Rookie Diamond Kings Canvas to 500. See, the first 500 out of the total print run were canvas, and it's a smaller percentage. It's like a pretty small percentage of the total of these cards. I don't ever, gosh, I don't want to say ever. I rarely see the canvas in the wild. I think I picked up somebody else, like a Matt Williams or something. So I don't remember. I've picked up another canvas of another player in bargain bins. This one was in, I think, $1 or $3. I don't remember what it was. It was like $1 or $2 or whatever. I was like, well, I'm a Helton fan. He's a Hall of Famer. Really recently, actually. And this looks like him, I think. I think he's a pretty good, drawing of Mr. Helton. This looks enough like him. He had beards going like later in his career, like a little down here, a little scruffy thing. So this is him clean shaven, early career type stuff. But yeah, I picked up on Helton, and gosh, I think it was 15 when I picked up on Helton, and I bought his USA Tops Traded from '93, and I just pulled some stuff aside from him, but I didn't really start putting his stuff in my A box until kind of recently. Last like 5 years, I'd say. So I have some cool Helton stuff. I like Helton. He's always one to get for me. I don't have nearly what I have in terms of like Piazza or Ripken. He's not at that level yet. I don't know if he'll get there, but those guys they take over the boxes. Really glad to get this though. This is cool. Love this. This is the Todd Helton 1998 Donruss Rookie Diamond Kings Canvas to 500. Good stuff. Next on the list here, this is the Mark McGwire 2000 Stadium Club Bats of Brilliance die cut. I'm a super Mark McGwire fan. I love Mark McGwire. I don't PC anybody like I do Frank Thomas, but McGwire is a guy I could see myself PCing heavily, but I never will, because I can't do what I do with Frank Thomas with anybody else. It's just too much. It's way too much. So I'm happy just grabbing cherry picking stuff from McGuire when I see it. This one caught my eye. This is the die cut parallel. So if like you don't know about the non-die cut, you might think this is the just a normal card. It's like the previous card, the Todd Helton. If you don't know the first 500 or the canvas, you might just think it's just a normal Diamond Kings card. So some of this late 90s stuff and early 2000s is like that. It's like kind of tricky. And so I have a few of these from other players. Yeah, I think I have like I want to say like a Chipper Jones. I don't remember who else, but I've got a couple of other players of the die cut variety I've picked up in bargain bins over the last several years. They're pretty inexpensive, these cards. They're affordable, relatively speaking. And so if you wanted to get one of these, you could get it into your collection very easily. But great design. Amazing player. I'm a big Mark McGuire fan, so glad to get this into my collection. This was, I think, in $1. I think this was a $1 card. Yeah, the guy I buy from with like quarter cards, he has like dollar cards, and I think he's got $3 cards and $5 cards and $10 cards. And so I go through as much of it as I can, and I pull out stacks of stuff, and I parse here and there if I realize it's going to be kind of more than I need, and I get stuff. And this one made the cut because of the player and the set. So really glad to have this. This is Mark McGuire, 2000 Stadium Club Bats of Brilliance die cut. I have to credit somebody I know who brought this to my attention on, I believe it was Friday. I was sitting with my buddies Steven and Bo. They're dealers at these shows. They sit together. Cool guys. Great guys. I was sitting eating canes. Delicious. So good. And Brad comes by. He's a fan of the site, and he's a good dude. I like talking with him. He's a big football fan. Always nice, super nice guy to talk with, and it's an interesting conversation. I always like talking with Brad. So he showed me some cards, and he showed me this card. I was like, let me see if I think I have one of these. I don't know if it's this one or like one of the varieties of this. So like 2003 Playoff Portraits is stuffed at the brim with parallels. It's exhausting. It's like during that like mega parallel craze of 03 and 04 and heck even 05 where things got kind of confusing. And Portraits is kind of like that. And so I had to check my museum, and I have the relic version of this to 10. And this is the non-relic. This is the standard to 10. This is the standard gold to 10. So this is the Frank Thomas 2003 Playoff Portraits gold to 10. So he and I were trying to find a valuation. He had a price tag, and I was like, well, let me see where we are. And so Bo and I were pulling up comps on Card Ladder and some others and trying to figure out, okay, when was the last one that sold? The last one sold in like 2014. And I was like, well, where is it from now? Because obviously prices have come up. But where are we from where it was then to now? We tried to come up with a realistic price point. I tossed it to Brad. I was like, well, so what do you think? Like, does this make sense? And Brad's like, that's fine. So I paid Brad for this, and he wanted me to add it to the video, and so I'm happy to do that for him. Great card. Thank you, Brad. Good stuff to add to my collection. Like I said, at the Dallas Card Show, I almost never add Thomas cards that I want, that I need. So this was one of them that made the list because I have a lot of stuff from 03 Portraits. I don't know if I'll ever finish that run, though. There's a lot going on in that year. That's a tougher one. They're beautiful cards, though. There's like canvas painted. They're very good-looking cards, very attractive. Extremely glad to get this as a collection. When I saw it in his like stack, he had some great cards. He's got very good taste in football cards, and yeah, he'll come to me sometimes and ask me questions about this or that or what I think about stuff. And he's always got very good cards to show me. I always like what he has and what he brings by. So it's very fortunate to run into him this day to get this card. I mean, what better? You're hanging out with your friends, having delicious canes, and then a Frank Thomas card enters the picture a bit. So really glad to get this. This is the Frank Thomas 2003 Playoff Portraits gold to 10. Thanks again, Brad. Appreciate that, buddy. Okay, this one's cool. Jesse Winker, 2017 Topps Walmart Holiday Snowflake Metallic Parallel. Okay, so Jesse Winker is the only card in the set of both the standard snowflake and the metallic snowflake that doesn't feature the snowflakes at the top right corner of the card. Okay, so it's an uncorrected error. It's a rookie card, sure, fine. And he was kind of like a prospect in 2017. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, great. I remember this from 2017. There's some other cards over the years that have become like short printed or whatever else. But when I saw this, I was like, yeah, I'll grab that. I think this was in a quarter box. Because as you know by now, that I dig a lot and I spend the time, I put in the hours to find what I find. I mean, what you're seeing is a small, very small percentage of the stuff I buy at these shows. These are the highlights. And so I wanted to talk about this because this is an uncorrected error. Not much more to say about this. I don't have much Jesse Winker stuff. But now I have at least one card of his. So this is the Jesse Winker 2017 Topps Walmart Holiday Snowflake Metallic variety. The uncorrected error. All right, last card on the list here. This is great. Great stuff. Now, it doesn't look like much, but it is awesome. This is the Joey Votto 2018 Topps Salute Black Parallel to $2.99. Okay, so here's the thing with this. This was in quarter bin, but check this out. If you know anything about Topps flagship, you know that their serial numbered cards are incredibly hard to pull. Incredibly hard to pull. Yeah, so this $2.99 black parallel, 1 in 420 hobby packs. 420. I saw this and I was like, this is a serial numbered card from an insert set from Topps flagship. I already knew it was going to be a high insertion ratio because it's hard to pull stuff like this out of cheap Topps packs. Just hard. So I was really glad to get this. This is an awesome ad. It's not a huge card, but it's huge in terms of how hard it is to pull out of packs if I were to try to get one of these. Now, this card is also not very expensive. Like if you go like online, you can get this card for a very low price. It's weird you spend so much money on packs to pull a card and just have other people pull it and you buy it for cheap. Another reason why I don't open wax. It's a loss a lot of times, but it's not always a loss. It's just a lot of times it is a loss. So I'm glad to just grab something like this in a quarter bin. Love this. This is the Joey Votto 2018 Topps Salute Black Parallel to $2.99. Love that. That completes my review of my experience at the July 4 through 7, 2024 Dallas Card Show. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Patrick Reno, and until next time, enjoy collecting. If you like this content, please subscribe. Thanks. Enjoy collecting.